but can Pristini win the 2?
No.
He does. That's 3 straight. Dashy versus Octane, and it's Sam who's able to come away with it.
On a classic, trying to line him up, in the final!
Looking to find a few more, but Gunners absolutely rips his way through the 3 of them.
249, Seattle won! On Seattle Surge, it's Arlaw, and today we have a game for you guys. It is the Seattle Surge versus Minnesota Rokkr, and I'm honestly excited because if you guys were here last week, then you got to see, unfortunately, a loss from us. But what you might have really noticed happening during that game is Pristini the Houdini showing up and slaughtering everyone. The performance we got to see from this individual was a star player performance. It genuinely surprised me to see after such a long time of just mishaps and plays not working out in our favor. Watching Preston show up, he seemed to have the biggest smile on his face playing. It was like Call of Duty was refreshing, and he was having the time of his life in a tournament standing, just loving everything about it. We saw him hop up and do a little dance that I'm sure is becoming a meme and going viral everywhere. It made me happy. It really did make everything about this so worth it that day, because watching a player get to do what he loves and have so much fun after an incredible performance just shows what the league is all about. But today, I'm hoping all 4 of you come together and show a performance that the fans haven't seen in a while, because this is what we need. It's stage 5. We're not showing up yet, but it's not out yet. We're not done. We have so much more to offer, and I'm really hoping that comes forth today. Octane, you had rotations held down last time flawlessly. I genuinely believe that was a different performance from you that we get to see normally. I'm hoping maybe today you don't hold so far back. It seemed like a lot of the slaying kills you got, while they obviously really stacked onto your streaks and whatnot, I don't think they really helped with the team chemistry and pushing towards taking over a hardpoint objective. So maybe in terms of that, we can see some pushing forward or a different angle of holding. I'm not sure. You're the professional player. Obviously, you probably know what you're doing. But from an outside perspective, I would have liked to see you be a little more aggressive. I think that AR skill you have and you displayed in those games really would have been utilized perfectly with all the other 3 people being able to play off of you. Classic. I like you. I do like you. I think you're a good-looking dude. I like the gameplay, the attitude you bring to the table. But it seems like time and time again, you're kind of the bait player where you go in first and you get this initial damage, but you don't always win the gunfight, and it kind of turns into someone else playing cleanup. We need to change that. We need you. We need you in search. We need you in hardpoint. We need you in the respawns. You are a necessity to this team comp, okay? There's a reason why you're here. I've seen you with an SMG. I've watched your turn-on plays, the jumping around corners to get the entry when you actually win that gunfight. It's beautifully done. It's well executed, and there's nothing I can say negatively about that. But when you don't win that one, it puts the team at a major disadvantage. And I know that's not fair to sit here and say you got to win your ones, but no one else does. No, you all need to win your ones. But Classic, you do play an entry role, it appears, in most of the S&D matches. And when you're a man down, kind of GG's in Search and Destroy. It's a whole different play style when you're down one player. Gunless, the icy hot, I say it over and over, and I feel like it's not just, it's like the legend of you is this icy hot reputation that I started as a meme, but seems to live true. If you're not hot right away, it takes you a little bit to warm up. But once you're there, it doesn't leave. You kill everyone in your way and win all of your ones. You genuinely never cease to amaze me when you have an SMG in your hand. But with the AR, I want to see you and Octane play and take over the field and have it where you guys are just the covering fire that owns the map. Full map control, possession, everything needs to go in your way. I need to see that today. I really, really need to see that today. Guys, if we go over the keys to the game really quickly. All right. I missed these last time. I covered them a little bit briefly. Let's go hardcore on these really quickly. Take advantage of a weak hardpoint team. We have turned everything around in our respawn reputation. That is clear as day. You can't even sit here and tell me we haven't. We went from being a top S&D team to winning almost all of our respawn matches and changing a full reputation. It's a total mind game that we have just created and executed perfectly. Let's continue to do that. They're not good at this. We already are showing that we now are. Let's make this an easy 1-0 lead to take this into what could possibly be our best momentum yet, okay? Point 2, keep the control win streak alive. You were one of the worst control teams on paper. That is a fact. It was something that we got to see where I think the streak was 0-7 at one point. That's not a thing anymore. There has not been a control match that you have not dominated, decimated, and devastated, okay? The triple Ds. You are showing up to respawn matches like you have never done before, and you're coming out on top, winning them. That's surprising and amazing. I'm here for it. Please keep doing it. Point 3, pressure the Rokkr AR duo. I was talking about our AR duo. If you show up and the map control is in your favor, those ARs don't stand a chance. There's nothing they can do to even compete with you, okay? So let's start off really, really well. We'll get map control. Our ARs will lay down the fire. We need them to. The SMGs, you play your role perfectly, and we'll just stop them in their tracks, and the ARs won't even be an issue. Predictions. Not gonna happen. We did this last time and we do it time and time again. Every single time I try to talk about a prediction, it's like the prediction I give you guys, 3-1 this, 3-1 that, 3-2, blah, 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 3-0. It's like I'm predicting the other team's score and I'm handing them the confidence. So we're not gonna do it, all right? I think the only prediction I have is that today is gonna be a W and I'm excited for it. You're not gonna get scores. You're not gonna get any play style. You're not gonna get anything anticipated out of me besides the fact that today we win. Guys, if you want to look as good as our players do, remember we are one of the most beautiful teams you've ever seen. We have the best merch out there. I don't care who you like, who you love, or who you want to cheer for. We look good. All right, shop.seattlesurgers.gg if you want to look as good as we do. We've got the new champion line out as well, and it's so good. It's so good looking. You cannot even keep up with how good you look in our outfits, our clothing, our hoodies, our merch, and more. You guys, the link is below in the description as well. Check it out for me. That's all I really got for you guys. I'm so excited to actually watch this. I really am. Chat, I'm not sure how you guys are feeling about all this. I know that we haven't been the most well performance-wise, but at stage 4 little turn, the LAN you guys got to see us compete at, I think that paved a new path for us. I really do. I think that stage 5 may have started off rough, but we showed that we have all of the abilities to perform. We just need to execute it together. There were plays in that match that you haven't seen teams do. Like seeing Preston get up and excited after that clutch performance, that's not something you have seen a team do in so long. There's a reason why that's a highlight reel play. They're not very often. So if we take into how Preston played last time and how confident he is and how he wants to turn this into like a complete series and not lose this, and you've got Octane slaying and performing, you had Gunless to that, and you get Classic to catch up, and I think this team really does have the absolute best future ahead of it. Guys, you want to look as good as our players do, like I said, check the link out. You want to continue to support us, please do. I absolutely love being here. I love interacting with the chat. I'll see you guys in between the matches, and after we win our first 2, I'll come back and we'll all celebrate together. Don't forget, guys, Seattle Surge are the best, and drown them out.
Yeah, man, ever since Standy has entered the Rokkr building, he's been the man. Like, the guy's just been putting up some insane stats, like a 1.18 overall on hardpoint. The guy's just absolutely insane. When you take a look at our quick scopes here, obviously, Minnesota, they're a little bit more favorite in Search and Destroy, a little bit more favorite in that control as well. But the good thing is for Seattle, they're a little bit better at hardpoint. So this can be great, especially on this map number 1, because we saw a lot of success, at least at that Major 4 on LAN for Octane on this map, because he was really taking over, man, on a map like Checkmate, which allows those ARs to just set up, hitting themselves and pre-aim down the lane of sight and get those easy kills. So I'm excited for that Checkmate map because we saw Minnesota as well play it against LAG. They dominated them. This is a map that they used to auto veto. So the fact that they are putting it in this series shows that they're starting to get a lot more confident on it as they continue to practice.
Yeah, and I know that you mentioned, obviously, when we talk about our keys to victory, we specifically do look at that AR duo, both Octane and Gunless there for the Seattle Surge. what kind of damage they can do. And as you said, at that major, this is a map where Octane took over. This is a map where Gunless really started to feel comfortable. As we said, Rokkr, great historically in terms of their most recent series. Granted, it is versus the LA Gorillas, and it seems like a lot of people have the ability to 60-point, 70-point club them, but they have some good reps on it as of late. But here we go, folks. Our first map of what very well could be a classic type of series. No pun intended, we love Nicky D, but Minnesota Rokkr versus the Seattle Surge. Checkmate Hardpoint is where we find ourselves first. And oh boy, it is going to be a fun one. As we said, heading toward Checkmate, and I know we talked a lot about Standy coming in toward this series, stud, just granted how great he's been for Minnesota, how great he has been in this stage, and he also poses a 1.1 on Checkmate Hardpoint throughout this year.
Yeah, so he needs to have another big game. And the good thing about it is that even though his teammates are starting off on the bad side, they're picking up a couple kills in towards this P1. That's going to be 3 players early down on the side of the Surge. So now they have to try to break in, and Minnesota is going to be able to get some good time off of this P1 uncontested. You're going to see a couple players from the Surge trying to slow it down a little bit, but so far Minnesota are doing a great job at just picking up these kills. Yet the spawns still haven't came in the flip, but they're doing such a great job at this P1, collecting all this time. It's a great job for Minnesota so far.
Great job with those SMGs toward top lane. Pristini wanting to have the final word on this and very well could earn that. Fortunately for him, no time potentially going to be awarded for his efforts as the Seattle Surge continue to look good toward the middle side of the map. Just as I say that though, Priesta winning a major fight toward that A lane. With Minnesota getting, what, 50 seconds uncontested at P1, you could not ask for much more than that, as now that puts all the pressure on a Surge to hold down this money hill at P2.
Yeah, and Pristini, he's doing such a great job, man. He was able to find 3 kills towards the ending half of that P1, which kept the spawns for his teammates, and currently working on a streak. Unfortunately, he's going to drop, not being able to pick up any streaks right there, but Seattle, keeping the pressure on. Unfortunately, Octane's trophy is going to betray him, and he's going to drop it now, spawn all the way across the map. The last player in this position is going to be Gunless. They're going to sniff him out, and Minnesota get a clean break.
Yeah, instead, I mean, that is just a wonderful break there from the Rokkr. As we said, based off the way that you play instead of P1, you can't afford, if you're the Surge, to allow for that hill to go away empty-handed. An excellent start toward this HP. The best way possible if you are a Minnesota fan. Final 10 seconds going down, and you can bet it looks good to go the way of Rokkr. But Gunless, once more, putting in the back of our minds that this Seattle team is not going to go down without a fight. Currently sits on that 3 spree. As now we head in toward bottom plane, and this could be potentially where Big P starts to take on off. Surge, for a moment, get a toe in. Classic trying to get some top lane control. A big 1v1 for him as Pristini continues to snap.
Yeah, they're doing a great job of just finding these kills around the hill. Just no one's in the point yet, so they're not getting any more time. Eventually, someone's going to get in. That's going to be a clean 4 dead on the side of the Surge. So now they're going to be able to get fully set up for this P3. They know all the spawns are coming in from back yellow. So far, they're doing a great job of just holding them in this position. Just keep in mind, look at that mini-map. Number 2 in attach. He's actually going to spawn behind these players at Wood. He's able to pick up that kill onto Gunless. So now that's going to turn the focus of Octane, knowing that he has to try to pick up this kill to not allow the spawns to flip. But already a job well done from Minnesota, as the spawns are going to be flipped, and now they should be fully set up for that P4 hardpoint.
Yeah, I mean, what? Obviously, Attach gets a great opportunity and seizes it. The big gunfight goes down there onto Octane, and from there, the Rokkr have put themselves in good map positioning. But let's go and step aside and see how the comms sound. Our Astro listening now with Minnesota.
Side, guys. Classic. One shot our side.
Yeah.
I'm going top lane.
I'm looking on our side. I'm
low plane right now. One's under A wing. I'm hopping up A wing. Hop to A wing.
I can hold our side.
I'll team A-wing.
I'm going up A-wing. Our side, Nick. Our side, Nick.
He's close up.
Nick then.
A-wing,
Nice.
Pristini dead.
Nice, our side. Help me our side.
Octane hurt. Octane
On
dead.
hill, Gunless dead.
Block.
I'm blocking.
Actually, I'm getting dark spot.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get top lane.
Yeah,
Nick
right
be
now.
open in tube.
Alright.
I think they're
Tube
gonna
hurt.
tube. I'm top lane.
A-long, classic, one shot hill.
Tube hurt.
Shot the guy hill.
One by hill.
One shot, close right.
I got him.
One's dead. Nice.
Play
Somebody
left
got-
side.
somebody got-
I'm one
I'll
shot.
help.
I'll drop down.
He's one shot behind you.
Chase you, dead.
Dead.
I can get initial.
I
have
can
a
get
initial.
I'll play top
There's
lane. Make sure you
one
block,
deep.
Eli.
I have a
I got
trophy
one.
new.
On either side,
Open.
long. Shit on. Oh my god,
Nice,
he's
nice,
gonna
nice.
stay down.
One's going exit, I think.
Yo, he's top A-wing, hopping up.
Listen, I'm saying push up. Someone block.
I'll
I can't
spawn
block.
you.
I can't
I'll
block.
spawn you.
Wait, one of my
Oh,
spawn
we
behind
need
us.
block.
We're
good,
good.
we're
You have
good.
two
Yo,
open
on
and
top
one
plane.
shot.
On top plane.
Two and one shot.
Alright,
They're deep.
I'll get a shot.
One shot top plane. He's
Yeah,
gonna go
I'm
jumping.
ratting long. I'm ratting
Yeah,
long.
yeah. Looking exit, exit, our exit.
I got
Look
you.
my front. Look my front. Yeah, I can.
I'm in front.
All right,
One
good,
upstairs, left
classic,
side,
good.
done. Ivor cross, Eli,
Yo,
stay down, stay
yeah,
down.
he's better cross on me.
Okay, I
Ivor
got
cross,
him.
Ivor
Yo,
cross,
exit,
exit. Exit, I don't have your cross
Is it
yet.
pillar?
Ivor
Pillar
cross.
dead, Eli?
Exit,
Another one,
exit.
another one. I needed it.
I'm helping
Pillar
left
dead.
second. Exit, still.
Exit, dead.
Nice,
good.
good. Get out
Finishing
control.
up low.
Front loading. Front
I'm
loading.
Nice.
Ivor
I'm
cross. Crossing stairs, then.
Yeah.
Yellow
Oh,
crate, yellow
shots,
crate,
shots,
yellow
shots.
crate. Pristine.
Yo, there's 3 stacks.
Pristine
I'm
on
one shot
wing.
old.
I'm helping you, Hill.
I'm going top plane. I'm going top plane.
Yo, we can try to work out.
I
Hey,
know.
yo, Lobby wing, lobby wing.
One
Every
spot
shot
outside.
Okay, I hear you. I'm picking deep left. I'm picking You up
You have
deep
a
left.
trophy? Go to top plane. There's gonna be multiple top plane.
Left. Lobby wing,
Dead.
lobby wing.
Nice.
One shot.
Playing,
Yeah,
playing.
wait.
Pierce, he's weak.
Lobby wing.
Lobby wing. He's on the pallet.
All right, we're something together here.
You
Take your
went
time. Take your
low
time.
He's still
I'll
low.
help you left,
Low
I'll
on
help you
top.
left.
Low on
One door
top.
steps.
I'm flashing
Top
over
weak,
down.
top
Flashing
weak.
over. Hold my cam.
I'm looking over you. I'm looking over you.
He still steps.
I don't see him top doing. I'm trying to help you last
One
one.
radio.
I'm looking at dog.
I'm looking at
Step.
stairs.
Nice.
Watch
I'll
out.
look at
Stairs,
top
guys.
wing. I'll look
Yeah,
at top.
he can
Top
be close.
wing, done.
Nice.
Let's go, dude.
Nice. I'm coming home. Coming home.
Still got
I'll
stairs.
get you left. I'll get you left.
No, behind me. He's exit. Exit. He's in exit corner. Exit
Tell
corner.
me
Exit
like-
corner.
Right wing.
Exit one shot.
Tell him.
Minnesota Rokkr really starting to get into form. I mean, really just looked absolutely phenomenal toward the end of that P4 and P5 stud.
Yeah, when you went into that listening right there, you could just tell their main focus was to not allow any players from the Seattle Surge side to spawn behind them. You heard Attach, you heard Standy, you even heard Major Maniac. Anybody blocking in the back? Nope. Okay, well, let's just hope that they don't spawn back there. Once their teammate dropped and spawned back there, they had the full setup that they wanted. They held down that P5 for the entire time. In Minnesota, they are just really clicking right now in hardpoint. I haven't seen this much teamwork out of Minnesota so far, at least on this map, man. But they are just keeping the fundamentals in their back pocket, doing a great job at just picking up the kills and holding the spawns properly. Minnesota about to open up to a 100-point lead nice and early into this map.
You can already feel the momentum beginning to shift toward the Rokkr as Classic and the Surge Boys look to try to do as much damage mitigation as they can. But the SMGs continue to fire, as that's going to be 4 in a row for Major Maniac. Octane toward the back. See if Major does in fact spot him out. And with that flash, information is gained. Classic's able to win the 1 versus 1. But take a look at Standy in a great spot. He gets found out. And for a moment, Seattle Surge, they get some time to breathe. And what feels like for the first time in a long time, Stud, they get a hill that's uncontested for a moment. Just as we say that, Priest is there to cause some issues. And now it's Standy's turn toward the flank. 20 valuable seconds still left up for grabs, and Verstini's doing everything he can to try to keep this one as close as possible. And it will be the Surge having, for the first time in this game, a successful P2 hold, and boy, did they need that.
Yeah, they definitely needed that response right there, even though it was kind of funky from both teams right there. Kills going back and forth, but Seattle did a good job at just picking up a majority of those, keeping those spawns, and then eventually gaining the remaining time on that hard point. Now they're right back into this. Only down 45 points. You have to try to break into this P3 hard point nice and early. They're getting the spawns for P4, but there's so much pressure, so much map control on the side of Minnesota Rokkr right now. It's going to force a couple players from Seattle Surge to try to challenge a couple gunfights that are not really in their favor, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Is another 3 players go down. They still have those back spawns, but this has been a great hold so far for Minnesota on this P3.
Yeah, a great job, as you mentioned, for Minnesota. Really throughout the middle side of the map. They've looked great at P1. They've looked pretty solid at P3 as well. And based off of that, that is the reason why the score indicates what it does. 18 seconds left toward bottom plane. Then the rotation will be in toward a street, but is it really going to even matter all that much as Priesta, Major Maniac? It was the SMGs for a time. Now it's the ARs going off. 230 to 141. Less than 20 seconds left before this game 1 comes to a close, and Standy may end this one out in somewhat of an explosive way, turning on to Prestini to earn that second streak. It's going to be an artillery, and it's going to be a cruise. Is it even going to come into play all that much? Probably not. But with 2 seconds left, it is fireworks here on Checkmate. 1 more point left before this one comes to a close. A big fight to win there from Gunless, but as we mentioned, it's all consolation at this moment, as the crews will look to try to rein on in. Minnesota looking for that final second, and that very well could do it. Props to Seattle for doing what they've done. Tatch, they're gonna get the assistance, and there we have it. Rokkr answer big in the opener.
And that was just such a great job for Minnesota. I think the turning point of the game, though, had to be that first P5 hard point. because Minnesota did such a great job, man. They broke into that P4 with about 20 seconds left. They secured those spawns and then held that P5 for the entire 60, and that was the turning point of this game, because then eventually they did such a great job at that P1 on the first go around that on the second go around they were able to at least gain 30 seconds off of that. Even though Seattle were able to bounce back off of that P2, I feel like just the amount of time they got off of that P1 and the full 60 hold on P5 is what allowed Minnesota to walk away with this one. They were just dominating, man, keeping the spawns, keeping control of the map, and just maneuvering as a team. Great teamwork from Minnesota in that map number 1.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a great team victory as well. Like, that wasn't just because, you know, let's say it was versus the Seattle Surge. I mean, so like that was clinical. We talked about, you know, throughout the amount of hills that they were able to control, breaking in toward P2, holding well the middle side of the map. The amount of 3-4 players down that they got, that's not just you know, maybe a more bottom of the barrel type of team problem. That is a great win for this Rokkr team. But as we said, they're looking for that game mode to coincide with the control. Our point very well may be that.
Yeah, well, their hard point is definitely looking good, man. When they go up against the top teams, they're able to fight at least on the first map. When you get deeper into the series is when they tend to struggle, man. But that's a good answer from Rokkr right there. Now they have to show us strength in Search and Destroy. They're going up against a weak team in the game mode in Seattle Surge. Like we said in the keys to victory, 2-10 out of their last 12. They need to come out and win the Search and Destroy to put them up 2-0.
Yeah, I know Nameless is sitting there saying, okay, Minnesota, we saw you in game 1. Let's see how you do throughout the remainder of the series. It is Search and Destroy on Standoff when we come back.
Grind for the hustle, I can't knock it. Do what it take, do what you do, you could try. Yeah. I've been up, I've been stuck up in the sky. Yeah. Only at the top, I can't lie. Haters watch it, throw the piece, tell them bye, 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 bye. I got things to do, I got bands to get. Competition up in smoke, ooh, cannabis. Ask me why I'm a top 10 candidate. I'm so fly, I'm so clean, ooh, and I'm rich. They can't stop it, they can't stop the kid. They can't stop it, they can't stop the kid. Check the scoreboard, I'm running up stats. Numbers don't lie, that's facts. They can't stop it, they can't stop the kid. They can't stop it, they can't stop the kid. Check the numbers, I'm running it up. I got penny bands, I'm thumbing it, yeah. Tell them move, get up out the way. It's ludicrous, yeah, how much I'm getting paid. 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10K. No mob ties for the player being made. Now how you spoke to your girl, better check her phone. And do you know what she doing when you not at home? And when she tell you she alone, but she not alone. She got a lot of options, eeny, miny, mo. She gon' do what she want, ain't no stopping it all. Pour the liquor in the cup, yeah, I'm topping it off. I might take your girl, take a trip to the mall. Put the shelf in the bag, yeah, cause I'm copping it all. I'm saying, they can't stop it, they can't stop the kid. They can't stop it, they can't stop the kid. Check the scoreboard, I'm running up stats. Numbers don't lie, that's facts. They can't stop it, they can't stop the kid. They can't stop it.
Zenni, the official eyewear for the CDL. Armor your eyes with Zenni Blocks blue light protection glasses by visiting zenni.com/gaming. Scuff, the official controller of the Call of Duty League. Call of Duty League is brought to you by T-Mobile. T-Mobile is the shot caller in 5G. Lead the game from the lobby to the last push with America's largest, fastest, and now most reliable 5G network.
My name's Eli Benz, aka Standy, and I'm a professional Call of Duty player for the Minnesota Rokkr. My experience as a CDL rookie has been phenomenal. I think it's really fun to play against players that I used to look up to.
Mac goes down as well.
My reaction to getting picked up to the Minnesota Rokkr, I was ecstatic. Some things that I've learned from my Rokkr teammates are a lot of intangibles, stuff like making the right play at the right time and being focused in like super stressful clutch situations.
Standy clutches it.
My duo is Attach. He's really nice and he came off as a great teammate. A goal that I have for my rookie year is obviously to do my best to try to win the Rookie of the Year award. Stay excited for the future because great things are on the way.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Minnesota Rokkr home series. You get to learn a little bit more information about the stand, man. As we mentioned, he is desperately looking to try and get a little bit more elevated, I guess you could say, in that Rookie of the Year conversation. We talked about that at the top of the show, but Stud, walk me through it again, man. How impressive has Standy been here for Minnesota?
I'm telling you, man, ever since this guy has entered this roster, he's been the spark that they were looking for. A guy that consistently can throw up top numbers in every single game mode. You see him overall, he's going to be sitting at 9th. Hard point at a 1.06. S&D a little bit better. Control a little bit less, but just overall over 1.0 KD, man, and that's just consistency across the board. Out of such a young player, you usually don't see that when you're playing against players that you probably looked up to at least to get to this position. Like, if you're Standy back in 2013, you're sitting there watching players like myself, players like Scump, players like all these guys, all these veterans. So the fact that you're on this stage and you're putting up the performance you are in your rookie year, man, you gotta tip the hat to you, man, because you have been preparing yourself for this moment, and he's definitely been showing up for this team so far.
Yeah, he absolutely has. And one kind of interesting soundbite that I earned from that content piece, Stud, was Standy went on to say that he's learned a lot of intangibles throughout his rookie season in his spurt so far with Minnesota. He's learned things like, better timing, being more focused in the clutch. And I want to ask you, whenever you are a rookie, what are some of the most important things that you do need to learn in your first season of play?
So I remember back in the day, man, when I was first entering the league, and thank God I had the best coach in the world in Rambo Ray,
That's right.
who was telling me how to play the game. So whenever I would make a mistake, I'd always argue with him. I remember me and Ray actually almost got into a fight once when we were living together in North Carolina at the MV house. And it was just because I decided to make a play as an aggressive player that I am, but he broke it down to me that there's 90 different outcomes of how this play can possibly play out. And you always want to get the one that statistically puts your team in the advantage every single time. So I'm happy that he was able to realize that, because there's certain situations when you're a rookie, you come in and you think that you can just do it all. But there's a level of play here that you can consistently do it as the right team. And Standy has finally found his footing there, just doing what he needs to do for this team to pick up some W's.
And great awareness from him so far. I had the chance one Stud to talk to Ray. He told me, he's like, yeah, when I team with Stud, it was an interesting time. It was an interesting affair. Like you said, punches may have been nearly thrown at one point, but as we said, so important to be surrounded by such great players as Priest that will look to put in the defuse. Nobody here from Surge, rather specifically Gunless, in a position to check on what was a very, very valuable piece of cargo, as the Rokkr will be able to fire that one in and grab our first round. But as you said, man, just so important to be surrounded, by the right players. I know you mentioned you used an interesting choice of words. Like, I was so blessed to be joined alongside a player like Rambo Ray. And I know for Standy, like we said, he's surrounded by some excellent veterans of the scene. We talk about Major Maniac, Attach, Priest, the guys who have played on the biggest of stages. Couldn't ask for a better supporting cast.
You definitely can't, man. And just going back to that round number 1, that was faster than the flash, man. There was good play from Standy on hitting that back alley, setting up that pinch, and then just Minnesota being so aggressive towards that bomb site. Even though Gunless was the last player up, they just had too many bodies on the map to work that defuse. So now Minnesota up 1-0 are going to be on the attack. Octane is going to be sitting around this deli area, trying to watch that cross towards that A bomb. Versini's also going to be doing the same exact thing. It's all about the timing here, though. You have to pay attention to number 7 in Classic. When does he decide to hit this flank, or is he just going to continuously throw shoulders and just allow Minnesota to try to make this play over towards A?
He in such a great position. And maybe walk away with that first kill. Major Maniac using the statue to good usage, and that will set up Priesta to get that first blood. Again, it was a very difficult start, and now through the picket fence, Gunless is able to provide a few shots there into P-Dog, but he's still alive. He's still barking, and very well. Could get that down very shortly. Standy holding the angle, takes down the turret, and that will now put Rokkr in a 2-man advantage. Gunless position is known. Classic gets wiped away, and Standy very well could find the final one as well. Gunless once more gets dropped in a 1vx situation. Clinical plays from Minnesota and great coordination the middle side of the map to get that first blood.
Yeah, that was a great play by Minnesota right there. If you didn't realize that Priesta was that player who was camping towards the back of that loading docks outside of that deli window. He jumped on top of those boxes there and was just calling out everything towards the middle of the map. They spotted Octane in towards deli. They put down a couple shots on him to back him down from that position and then soloed out Pristini. So that was just such a great job from Minnesota on picking up that early first blood and then eventually using their man advantage to put the aggression on towards A, work that bomb plant, and then Standy picking up with some great shots across the map with that AK-74U through that courtyard to now put themselves up 2-0, back on the defense. The pressure is going to be coming in from back alley. Attach is going to have his hands full, but he's just going to try to back down, play a little safer until number 1 in Major Maniac is here to help him.
It was the Surge off the start, grouping up one of the SMGs together and looking for some team shots there with the ARs. Unfortunately for the Surge, the hopes of finding the first blood to start off this round does not go their way. Classic does get a bit of information, tagged up to 42, has to back up because of the nade. Well, some lead has been shed, some blood has hit the pavement. No first kills coming in as of yet, as the Surge look to make the rotation now over at A. Problem being, though, is Standy is still here.
Yeah, so eventually they have to get towards this bomb. And with 25 seconds left, they're able to at least spot Standy. It's all about the timing on when do they decide to attack this, and that's going to be Classic with the early first blood. Too bad the answer is going to be here from Major Maniac and Priesta. Major finds 2, Priesta finds the second, and then Attach finds the third all the way across the map. Right there was just way too slow for the Surge. You allowed them to just fully set up on one bomb site, knowing that they'd shut down that back alley push. So they 3-stack it, they win a majority of these trades, and eventually are able to close out the round. Right now, Minnesota, we talked about it before the series started. They needed to show improvements in search and destroy, at least in their teamwork. And right now, it's looking good, man. Up 3-0 so far.
And just great work there with the AR shots. We talked at the start of the round there for the Surge. They were trying to get some team shots in. It's actually Minnesota toward the closeout of the round, in which team shots are the ending conversation. Rokkr now back on attack. Christina yet to find a kill, and what a time it would be for it. Major Maniac, all the smarter, tries to go from the bottom to the top. Christina's able to take him down, and that will be a good start here for Seattle. Aware of the backside push. Priesta looks to back on up. Tries to play it close, ends up getting pegged down. Now it all comes down to Attach. A 1 versus 3, and he will get dropped. Surge finally getting a round on the board, and it needed to come in at that moment. And Seth, I want to ask you, like, too, what has been your take on this Seattle team in this S&D mode? Because as we said, for a long time it was, when are they going to win a control? When is it finally going to happen? When's it going to be in a map that isn't Garrison? Now they've improved in control, and now the conversation is in toward the search and destroys. As we said, 2-10 in their last 12. What's been the primary culprit that you've been able to see?
When I'm watching the Surge play, at least so far in this map, I think it's just the early first blood percentages. Like, I think players are taking too much risk, at least in the beginning, because if you go back to that defensive round where Octane was watching over Pristini, they get him out of that position. Pristini's basically with his hands up. He's going to be a free kill. So they have to try to work on their setups. They were able to win that round there, but just a little bit more teamwork. Like, I would like to see Pristini, instead of doing like the solo island plays by himself, I would like to see him and Classic work a little bit more well together and try to play these trades a little bit more effectively, at least with their aggression.
You've heard the call. We'll see if they do make the necessary adjustments. And Major Maniac toward this top side. He has been teaching the CDL this move since standoff entered into the rotation and now sits at 6-1. Classic through the hedges looks to try to make Major pay. But he will stay alive, and that's all that you can ask for out of your player that walks through with the first blood, and to also stay alive. Not get much better than that. And Octane on top of the roof, the body comes tumbling down, and now sits next, both Classic and Gunless, with not really too much comms to utter. It is a lonely territory at the backside of the spawn here for Surge. That no real information to work off of. You got 2 players split. Gunless is trying to get a little bit of information, but Rokkr playing all the patient.
Yeah, they know it's a 4v2. They have to eventually work this bomb plant. They solo out Classic right there. Now it's left up to Gunless in a 1v4. He's going to get taken down, and Minnesota are going to put themselves up 4-1. And that's another round right there where Minnesota, they find that first blood. Once they find that first blood, they're all not going to change their positioning. They know that they have the man advantage. Eventually, you have to work a bomb plant, or at least try to find a kill to at least even up the numbers. But that's just something that they're not allowing to happen. They're putting themselves in the advantage, making the gunfights a lot more difficult on the side of the Surge side to even up those numbers. And they're just dominating these rounds right now with their teamwork. Minnesota up 4-1, back on the offense. Priesta on the 3-speed, trying to work towards some streaks. He's going to be the guy that's giving the comms, throws his tacticals over to that A. Obviously, he's going to know it's going to be a trophy system there, but eventually you're going to see him jump up on these boxes and try to fight for some map control.
As you've labeled it, that first blood, so important, not just in general, but specifically for the Surge. That has been their primary area of struggle. Octane not having a great start either, 1-4. Generally, whenever you sit at 4-1, you don't expect anybody to be having the greatest of performances, but another first blood, this time toward Priesta. You couldn't have said it better, Stud, but thankfully, Prestini is able to answer. Prestini taking down Priesta. A bit of a mouthful, but now into the 3 versus 3. Classic on a flank. SMG's battling on both sides of the map, but it's Standy winning his. Classic on the other side. And now it's into the 2 versus 2. Octane and Classic versus Attach and Standy. Octane needing some support. Classic is there to help him. Now comes down to the 1v1. Standy with the bomb. Classic left to try and defend. It is a rookie versus a veteran. And he may get the clearance to plant this. Classic is going to have awareness saying, hey, A, clear. Does he get the nice angle? He does. A few extra shots, but Classic is able to land it. A big one there for Nicky D, as this time it's the veterans winning out and now putting their second round on the board.
Such a big round right there from Classic, because he was that island player. Even after his teammates got first blooded, he put himself in a position to push up that back alley and get control of gas. And then eventually, as the pressure started approaching towards that A bomb site, he hits that flank, finds that first kill onto Major Maniac, and then backs up through his back alley to find that kill onto Attach, and then just plays the 1v1 beautifully. Checks that A bomb, knows that he's not going to be in that position, and then just puts himself in a position to at least eliminate him, or at least see where he goes from that B bomb site, and was able to clutch up the round for his team to keep them alive in this game. Now back on the offense for the Surge, looking like it's going to be an aggressive back alley push. Attach is going to realize that, pick up all that information, and here comes Major Maniac already for the help.
Major Maniac is already here, takes down Classic. That's a nice way to start off. Again, the first blood conversation only continues to rally. Gunless getting pegged up, fights toward the bottom side of Grandma's. And Gunless will actually take down Prestini and pay for it in the end. An unfortunate sequence of events for the closeout of round number 7. And that has got to hurt, Stud. As we said, like there was a major 2 versus 2 fight. You're trying to set up your teammate, but a teammate comes in, and now that puts Minnesota on map point. A rough round to have, considering the start of this one was not so favorable. In the end, maybe looking much more bleak than the start.
Yeah, they had the pressure on that back alley. It's just, I guess Gunless's left thumb must have slipped on the stick right there and accidentally stuck the nade to the wall. So the team kill comes in. But now back on the attack for Minnesota, they're going to eliminate Prestini out of that position from that back tractor. So they're being a little bit more aggressive towards this A site, but Major Maniac with stature control, able to pay attention to any players trying to push out from Delhi. Prestini with the early first blood. I'm pretty sure that's the first blood of the game for the Seattle Surge. Prestini with 2. So on the 4v2 situation, Seattle should be able to close this out, but Attach is able to at least take down 1 to make it a 2v3 situation.
Into the fight versus Octane, and Attach is able to win that one as well. From a 4v2 now to a 2 versus 2. And take a look at how close Major Maniac and Prestini are. Really right next to each other. And Attach is going to take down Gunless. Prestini winning the 1 versus 1 against Major Maniac. And it is once more another 1v1. Prestini versus Attach. Bomb still has to be grabbed. Attach will look to harness that one. Prestini does fire away from top wood. Aware of his position and does not want to give him too much room to move. Has the Krieg out, but he didn't challenge. That was such awkward timing there from Prestini. Looking to lay down the fire. Attach utilizing the tractor toward his advantage. So much strategy, so much awareness. Both of these players Attached decide to challenge what could have been the ace, what could have been the 2 versus 4 clutch. Goes back to Prestini, despite what is now just the 3rd round finally on the board for Surge. Prestini having such a major impact in these rounds, doing it off the start and doing it in the close. 1v1s continue to favor Seattle.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that Brasini right there was able to pick up the ace on that round. Great play from Brasini. Early aggression over there towards that A-bomb site. Able to find 2. Then a huge one-on-one versus Major Maniac to force it into that 1v1. Takes his time, though, because if you're attached, I'm expecting a lot of shoulders. Like, not a consistent challenge, but he decides to fly out, tries to catch Brasini off guard. Too bad he was ready for it and is able to win the round for his teammates. So now Brasini working towards some streaks. And if he's able to pick those up, they can get right back into this game. The early aggression is going to come in towards this 8-point stand. He's going to be in a great position to at least slow this down. This Classic is going to jump on the hay barrel. Major Manac's going to hot pop the first blood, Standy with the second. So immediately, as I thought it was going to be a great play from the Surge, Minnesota answer. Now in a 4v2 situation is Minnesota.
Thankfully, Gunless answers back, but he's greeted with a few nades. Also a flash. Danny from the flank. Literally perfect execution if you are Minnesota. Tacticals, lethals, everything in the bag being tossed out. Now it all comes down to Pristini once more, and the Rook is there to seal the deal. Minnesota. For a moment, it got a little bit scary. We saw some good signs of life there from the Surge, winning a few 1v1s, but just the coordination at time stud throughout this standoff S&D was nothing short of impressive. Once again, much like the hard point, another great team victory here from Minnesota as they go up 2-0.
Yeah, and that was a clean search and destroy, man. The only thing is, well, at least before that map even started, both teams have yet to find a win on that. Minnesota was sitting at 0-2, Seattle at 0-1. But Minnesota, you could just tell, they put some work in. Their search and destroy looked really clean in that game. A lot of first bloods on that map, taking advantage of what the map was given to them. Like right there, we saw, even though Gunless picked up that kill onto one player in towards Delhi, they immediately push him out and go for the trade. They know that they have the man advantage. They're playing their numbers correctly, and they're just walking on top on these rounds. And Minnesota, at least based off that map, their S&D has definitely shown improvement just based off of that teamwork that they've shown there.
Yeah, and you notice from the ARs just not having the greatest of performances. That's a 4-16 combined for both Octane and Gunless. We came into this talking about the ARs. They have the ability to really cause some problems. I know that was a majority of that was going to be in the respawns, but just not able to fire away. And as you said, the first bloods, the coordination from Minnesota just is going to win out here. Now we got to take a look at our U.S. Army tactical play. This one comes in I believe round number 2. The guy that we've been talking about coming into the series, the guy we've talked about throughout the series. It is the Rook. It's the Standman stud.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure this is the round where they eventually get this bomb plant over towards A, and Standy's going to be that player in towards Courtyard. So right there, that's when they back down Octane from Delhi. So they soloed out Pristini. So they opened up with the first blood, and this is just great awareness right here from Priesta to just jump up, gain that information for his team, and then eventually force the players from the Surge to give up this bomb site. They worked the bomb plan eventually, but just keep in mind in the positioning out of Standy. He's still sitting mid-court. Some great shots onto Octane, able to take down that player. Now it's a 4v2. Classic jumped right into his pre-aim. It's an easy kill for Standy. The guy's not missing right now. Now it's a 4v1. They play their numbers correctly. They properly challenge out Gunless, and that was just such a clean round from Minnesota. Their S&D has definitely shown improvements. That's why they're up 2-0 in this series.
Yeah, and like we said, coming into that map, we talked about Standy in that content piece. Said, hey, in these clutch situations, timings, that is what I've learned, and that is what sets the pace for Minnesota. Surge have yet to catch up. It is 2-0. Will we have another sweep, or can Seattle answer back in the control? It's time for Harrison. We come back.
And that's why I don't make predictions, guys, because even when I do make predictions or anything like that, it just doesn't go in our favor. We're down 0-2 for the series right now. It's obviously not looking the best for us. And rather than sugarcoat it or try to give you guys just some garbage, let's just dissect this a little bit, all right? Let's try something new. We haven't done this before. Let's see what we can make of this. Maybe this will be productive for the team. Maybe this is something positive we can do with this, all right? So let's look at how that went down. Hard point. The simplest way to put it is Preston's the only one that showed up in the beginning of that match, and that's a fact. I think he had 9 kills before anyone on the team had 2, and that's just very unfortunate to see. However, it wasn't long-lived. Octane, you showed up. You were playing a lot of different strategic points where it seemed like you were holding angles and allowing for your team to rotate or push up, meanwhile shutting down the enemy's push. It didn't work completely. We obviously lost the game, so maybe we can go back to the drawing board and reevaluate how to utilize this, because it's not the worst strategy ever. It has some very good potential, but it also has a lot of flaws that need to be countered or worked on. So let's take that into account. Classic. You didn't listen to the keys. I didn't think. I'm gonna keep that 100 with you for the hard point. It seemed like a lot of the time where there were engagements, you were losing your ones, and there wasn't someone to trade today. It didn't seem like any of your teammates were really there to get that backup kill or finish off the work you had initially put in. And unfortunately, at that point, you're kind of just throwing away lives and giving the enemy streaks. That's not solely on you. That was a lot of the plays today. It seemed like a lot of ones were lost, and the trade just wasn't there. I saw a lot of pistol plays when it seemed like an AR or SMG would have been better or more suffice, but that's obviously your call to make in the moment, and that's what happens. Move to Surge. Us getting caught out with a player is our biggest weakness right now, and that did not change. Almost every play of the game had a player dying and instantly having someone else die to the same person who had just got that first kill. So every play of the game was a two-piece, usually featuring a vast majority of an AR. And I'm not gonna lie to you, we had SMGs pushing while ARs were playing back. And if we're gonna be as aggressive as these SMGs were playing, because frankly, they were the only ones really getting kills. Yes, I think both ARs went 3 and 8 or 3 and 7 to end the game. 2 and 8 from one of you. And I believe Gunless had a team kill, so he was down a kill on his end. I'm not too upset about the team kill because it does seem like in almost every series, one player, whether on our team or the other team, does have a team kill. It kind of just happens with friendly fire being on and everyone, slaying bullets across the map. That being said, if we take in the AR's performance and we compare that to the SMGs were 6+ kills a piece, I believe. And the problem just comes down to, even with them obviously getting the frags necessary in order to boost their stats and make an entry into the round, no one else is there to play cleanup. If we have an AR sitting back on a tank or a van holding an angle, not really helping the two SMGs pushing or flanking, it's basically a useless play where we're just tossing players to the enemy and we're kind of just like, here, let's have a free round. You need it. You don't need it. You clearly don't need it. We just lost that series. So we need to reevaluate everything right there that just happened in the Surge game. I didn't see anything on our end that was really significantly, impressive. To be as blunt as can be, the performance was weak. You did not play together. We need to go back to the drawing board and address this pronto. That is something we can easily overcome. We have some of the best teamwork and chemistry in the league. Even when we don't perform, we still play amazingly together. That's classic is the entry. Someone else cleans up after. That's something you guys have always done so well. We didn't do well today. We didn't shut down their ARs, and that was very evident. It seemed like a lot of their plays were even SMG players picking up ARs and just slinging about 30 bullets across the map to get a two-piece on a map where you really shouldn't have two people going down that quickly. Plus, like that little jump peek you did trying to trade. I get why you did it. It didn't work out. Maybe the timing just wasn't in your favor. We can call it COD timing to chop that up, but I think maybe, stutter stepping that, getting some initial damage and re-peeking it on a shoulder peek might have been a better play. Not sure, but guys, that's what we got for you today. I like this little dissecting segment. Maybe we can do more of this, but remember, round them out, and I'll see you guys at the end of the game. Stay tuned.
I believe also, Stud, this has been Seattle's controlled map, despite what has not been a great year for them recently. And I guess you could say whenever they were winning a few controls, it was on this very map. Have Surge shown you enough? Do you expect them to be able to make this one close? If not, send us to a game 4.
I feel like Surge definitely have shown us enough, at least in their control improvements, because they couldn't win it before. Like, they were the worst control team in the game, but now they're losing series 3-1, just winning the control. And you can just tell that they've shown improvements here. Minnesota, though, on this map are sitting at 7-4. On the opposite side, Seattle are 5-8. So even though records are here, Minnesota have a little bit more favor, this has been the success story for Seattle, especially on garrison control. You already see it with some early pressure over towards this A point, able to at least get one tick of progression already into the map.
Yeah, and like we said, the initial gunfight, those early team fights, so important for the attacking side. Surge, they had a commanding effort toward that A point, and as you said, they do get the first tick under lock, but see what much more they can do is now focusing their sights over toward the B point. And Gunless in a pretty good spot. Very well could limit the ability for Rokkr off of spawn. They've got 3 hanging out toward the backside of bricks. Meanwhile, it's Priesta who hangs out toward middle. A flurry of fights, but a majority of them favoring the way of Seattle. Priesta, can he sort of halt this progress for as long as possible? Octane wins the big 1v1. And as we get so close toward the end of this 8-point, Attach does manage to get a toe in for a moment. Sandy wins the 1v1, and based off that minimap, Seattle nowhere in sights in regards toward the A objective. It's now all over at B. One team, rather, the first team push, they get a tick. The second team push, they get a tick. We'll see if Seattle can make it 3, as they've got 40 seconds left to do it.
Yeah, and they have to try to eliminate this B point, but there's just too much pressure from Minnesota right now. Just eliminating these players one by one. Octane able to hit some good shots onto Priesta, but still the contest is coming in. You see a couple from players from Minnesota just watching that cross. Major Maniac was able to pick up that kill, but now they have to hold top green control. Unfortunately, Sandy's going to get some bad timing there. Brasini's able to get one, but the trade is immediately going to be there. So now time is starting to tick. Surge have to try to get on towards this B point to extend this time by a minute.
Priesta holding top green control. It only makes the Surge's lives that much more difficult. Fire barrel goes off. Attached still from the flank. That's going to be 3. Make it 4 down inside of the point. Surge. Now every player off of spawn. The worst time to have that 4 down come in is when it does. Minnesota Rokkr, a great round for them to take. Defense ends up going their way. And as we said, Stud, first fight goes the way of Seattle. They get the tick. Second team fight. They get a second tick, but they were just not able to harness enough to get themselves over the finish line. Now, Garrison, we often talk about the defensive team taking the round, but good plays from Rokkr to be able to lock this one up and Attach. A great start for him. Sits at 7-3 after round 1.
Now it's time for Minnesota to get on the attack. How do they decide to approach this? Because trophy systems are going to be on the side of Surge, so no tacticals are going to work through the middle of the map, but some early pressure trying to go in towards B. They know that Pristini, he's a little rat, man. It's only a matter of time before they're able to sniff him out, and they're able to catch him as he hops up through the vent with that first blood. So now time is starting to go on the progression towards B, but Gunlos with some great shots from top green, able to at least take down 2 to relieve the pressure. That's going to be a nice 3 dead. Gunlos still holding on top green with some great shots onto Priesta. Going to give him a 3 screen, and this is what we were talking about with Seattle. This AR duo is so scary on the map, as Octane and Gunless are finding every single kill, just holding the pressure from Minnesota in their base.
Yeah, like I said, we see spurts of it. We see at moments what explosiveness this team has and does possess. As Rokkr are actually going to be grouped up toward the vent side. Major Maniac does find the information there onto Gunless. And he may just sit pretty instead of top green. May actually go ahead and contest over at A. Does get slightly weakened there by the trophy as he and Classic go back and forth. Priest and Standy. The SMGs winning fights on one portion, Major Maniac on the other. And this is where panic can start to set in. Surge off of spawn. As we said, they go 4 down for a moment. And it's both B and A being captured. You see Rokkr just trying to toy with their minds a little bit, trying to get them off of spawn to go toward one side, when in reality the presence is at the other. As here comes Classic. And here comes Octane. They both get shut down from Attach, continuing on with his run. Again, that B point still being captured. A now contested as well for a time. Rokkr putting up a great display, but keep in mind, they've got 22 seconds left. One break from Surge could make all the difference.
Yeah, they just need to try to find these kills, man. Attach is doing such a great job of just staying alive towards the backside of this tractor, but eventually he's going to drop. On the opposite side, Minnesota were able to secure that B point. And now they have one progression tick at that 8 point. So now they have to try to just break in through bricks. So that's why you see Priesta slowly working around the backside and trying to set up one good push. They're able to at least spot Gunless. Good shots coming in from Priesta. Easy reads from onto Gunless. Attached with the kill onto Octane. Standy's going to take down Classic. Now it's all on Pristini. Once he's going to get eliminated, now it's all about setting up the spawn trap, and Priesta's in a great position to do so. But eventually he's going to drop. 3 players are going to be on it. Minnesota are going to walk away with round number 2.
And that's very well. And I want to say it is the nail in the coffin because, of course, we still have one more round to play. Surge very well may bring this one back, but that's just the sequence where you look back and you can think, hey, that's where we lost it, right? Obviously, we talked about the hard point in the S&D, but specifically in the control, that attack round just you cannot afford to allow that one to go the opposite direction. Being down 0-2, You can't continue to slip. And now Surge have got to play perfect Call of Duty, perfect control, as they'll have to win 3 straight. And as we talked about, it's been a team affair so far for the Rokkr. 12-6 now sits attached. Priesta at 11-8. 2 players coming into stage 5 that were talked about quite a bit in regards to their roles. Who's going to be running the flex? Who's on the dedicated SMG so far in stage 5 outside of the loss they suffer versus Toronto? That question has never been more dim, more quiet in regards to where these guys both belong. As here we go into the round. First few sequences, first few fights underway. Pristini able to take one down toward top. And that is a nice gunfight to win as the Surge look to try to make map control, slowly making their way up toward B.
Yeah, they have to try to extend this time, man. They have to get this B point and eventually solo focus on towards A. But Standy eventually is going to drop, and Standy was actually working towards some streaks, so that's going to be a big kill. The only thing is, Minnesota, they answer back with 2 of their own, so they're going to be able to maintain map control right now. You're going to see Gunless pushing up through the bottom middle of the map. Octane able to find a kill onto attach, but still, Minnesota not giving them a lot to work with. They're able to get 2 kills, but eventually they have to try to work this progression on towards B. The first tick is eventually going to come in, and now you see Seattle starting to put the pressure on as they're fighting through the middle of the map.
Right to the middle of the map, and Octane does take a big one there onto Standy. That will allow them to grab that second tick, and if you're Rokkr, do you try to back on up? And the choice may in fact be made for them. Mid-map totally controlled from the Surge, as now they've got themselves plenty of time, 1 minute and 40 on the clock, to try and capture at that A point. We'll see what strategy appears to be up their sleeves. As we mentioned, streaks not going to be too problematic, at least for now. And close instead of bricks, Standy hanging out. Major Maniac nearly gets traded, but what great cover fire that is from Priesta. It could have been a 2 versus 1 at the point, but Rokkr continually having each other's back. I think that's the 3rd fight so far we've seen throughout this entire series, that where somebody is on the brink of death and another Rokkr player is there to save the day.
Yeah, that's what they're doing, man. Their teamwork is there. That's going to be another 4 dead, so now that's going to allow Minnesota to put the aggression on. Unfortunately, Priesta is going to drop, so that's going to give a little bit of an opening to the players on the Seattle side, as Pristini does find another kill, but Attach still is able to find one. Now it's all on Major Maniac. He's in a great position to at least be a little bit annoying on the side of Minnesota. He's able to find one. Great shots onto Classic. Not able to find that kill. Eventually, it's going to get traded. But so far, Minnesota are doing a great job of just keeping control of the map. With 30 seconds left, Seattle only have like 1 or 2 good pushes to try to get into this point.
Yeah, that first minute has bought you nothing. But keep in mind, the amount of presence that they have in the spawn, this could set up for something quite special. As you said, 3 go down, and now the Storm comes into the point. Gunless watching players off of spawn, looking to try to beam them and not allow for them to get any visuals. Over at A, finally gets dropped, but have they done enough? Minnesota actually with 2 players that end up getting taken down. Pristini falls as well. And so Minnesota, with 3 players, 4 players off of spawn, they actually could win this fight. Such a sliver left. Seattle, can they get anything going? That's going to be 2. Last player instead of top green, 20.8. The clock gets halted for a moment, but Pristini drops. Surge, they've got 1 last push. 15 seconds, and this one is done. Priesta locking away the first P-Dog, watching one angle. It's the stand man from top green, and with 5 seconds left, can anybody from the Surge get here in time? It comes down to Pristini, stops the clock at 3 seconds and some change. But it's Gunless now on the flank from Bricks. He gets traded out from Attach. Pristini's here, but Attach wins the fight. The 1 versus 1, that one goes Octane's way. Anybody from Seattle, can they get here in time? And the answer will be no. Minnesota, a commanding victory here to start off their home series. A 3-0 in the series and a 3-0 in this control.
Minnesota just clutched up, man. If you're Seattle, that round is going to hurt because you get a clean 4 dead. Like, the fact that you have 2 people playing for a spawn trap, that is the wrong play. There needs to be a 3 stack onto that point, so at least you're able to close out that round and force it to another round. But the fact that they had 2 people pushed up all the way in bricks, both players dropped, And now the pressure is just going to come on in as both players are coming off spawn, trying to jump into top green. They find both of those kills and just eliminate the pressure from the Seattle Surge. Like, that was a choke right there. That was a mistake on the side of Seattle Surge. You cannot allow that to happen. In Minnesota, they countered it beautifully. They won their engagements and were able to close out in the 3-0. But Seattle, come on, man. Stack the damn point.
Oh, man. Like I said, I was kind of caught off guard when I was calling that set. I was like, okay, we got 2 players in the point. What happened to the 3rd player? What happened to Prestini? And from there, they leave the door open. As we said, just a sliver. Maybe, what, if you have 3 players on the point, that's maybe a second, 2 seconds to work with if you're Minnesota. And as we said, Seattle, they allow for the door to be open and Rokkr walk right on in and are able to walk away with this series. So I've been told this was a 36-minute series. Very well. Could be on pace for the fastest series that we have had all season. And there were some questions, coming into this week. Rokkr, a huge week for them in regards to, that top 6, the top 8 conversation, in regards to just this group in general for what sets them up for that stage 5 major. The big talking point has been, their control has been good. They start off well at times in series, but they're not able to deliver. Granite versus Surge, but that is a victory that you will take every single day of the week if you're not just a player for the Rokkr, but also a fan of the team too.
Yeah, you'll take that win any day, because now that puts you in a position to try just be a little bit safer in that 6th spot going into champs, because now you're up 20 points on LA Thieves, who LA Thieves still have to play Atlanta FaZe. You got to think Atlanta FaZe is going to win that, so they're going to be able to at least give themselves a comfortable cushion from that into that 6th spot. Minnesota looking really good, man. The biggest thing that I took away from this series had to be the search and destroy, because that's something that they tend to struggle with. Even though Seattle, so far, at least as of recent, haven't really seen a lot of success in the search and destroy, but on the side of Minnesota, their strategies were there. The teamwork was there, opening up with the first bloods, making sure they're rotating bomb sites, playing their numbers correctly. They even almost clutched a 2v4 situation. Don't know how Seattle let that almost happen, but Minnesota, you can just tell. Their teamwork is starting to get there, and they're gelling a little bit better in search and destroy.
Yeah, they absolutely are. A great team victory, and we'll take a look at what closed out this series for our scuff play of the game. Stud, tell me, man, what happened in this round? What did Seattle do wrong, and what did Minnesota do right?
Yeah, so before this play even developed, they had a clean 4 dead. There were 2 players that were pushed up from Surge in towards Bricks. I can understand Gunless being there because he was able to find that kill. Eventually, he's going to try to set up some spawn traps and just keep the players on the side of Minnesota in their base a little longer. But the fact that Prestini was able to push up into Bricks, tried to place for those trade, eventually gets taken down, and then they weren't able to close at that point, man. If Minnesota were allowed to break in that opportunity for 1 chance, that's all they needed, man. Because once they get that, they're going to be able to keep top green control. All they have to do is focus on the middle of the map, and that's just something right there with Seattle Surge. They're going to be really annoyed about that when they go back and watch the VOD. All they got to do is stack the point, and they're going to be able to force it to a round number 4. But Minnesota, they clutch up. They win a majority of those one-on-one gunfights to break back in, and then just keep control of the map, man. Just a great job for Minnesota overall.
Yeah, taking advantage of the enemy's mistakes as they Ragnarok our socks off. A nice 3-0 win here over the Seattle Surge, but they have got 2 very interesting opponents still left up on their schedule. What they've got Dallas Empire to face off on Sunday. That's going to be a wonderful one. And what very well could decide the fate of this group facing off against the Florida Mutineers. And like we said, a series that potentially could indicate who will be our top 3 seeds from this Group B.
Yeah, man, and it's scary because if you go back, I'm really looking forward to that match versus Dallas Empire, because Dallas, at least based off the major, their search and destroy was great. It beat Atlanta FaZe in a lot in that grand finals in search and destroy, except for that game 5, but that's where you're going to really be able to tell how much improvement Minnesota were able to show in search and destroy. But on the opposite side, you have the Surge now, who are already 0-2. Now, it doesn't get any easier for them because they got to go up against the second best team in the Toronto Ultra, and then they have to play Dallas Empire as well. So they have the potential to start off 0-4 because both Dallas Empire and Toronto are just a better team right now. Best chance that they have is the match versus Gorillas, at least for me, because they should be able to walk away with that one. But if you're the Surge, this is not the response that you wanted coming off of that Major 4. You get a top 8 finish there, but back to the online we go, man. It just hasn't been working out for them since.
Yeah, as we said, we had a lot of hopes for this Seattle team after our last major, and so far online, has not treated them the kindest. But the positive for them and the positive for you is that our Stage 5 major is just right around the corner. Tickets are on sale, as we said, for July 31st through August 1st. It is going to be a wonderful, wonderful event. It's going to be taking place at the Esports Stadium in Arlington, Texas. I've been told the tickets are selling out fast, so you better get yours if you have not done so already. We came into this series talking about this guy standing. He's been taught a lot, but he taught us out of the book of Eli today. A wonderful series for this guy, as he'll be joined by Lottie after this break.
Guys, unfortunately, we go down 3-0 in favor of the Minnesota Rokkr. That is what it is. I want to say, Preston, you performed wonderfully today. I really enjoyed watching you play. There were times in the SMGs and the ARs, you showed up differently. You did not show up today at the same time. That was very clear to see. We got to see performances highlighted from each of you playing together when it was 2 SMGs versus 2 ARs. It just, the chemistry was not there today. We were not on. There's no simple way to put it other than that. I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. I love it here. It's been an absolute blast. Yeah, I'm really disappointed with how we played today. I'm genuinely sorry for any of those who are watching. This is not how we are going to keep playing. This is not what we are. We are better than this. We just got to find what works for us. And unfortunately, that has been the struggle. But as you can tell, we still do have players showing up, performing, and executing their style of play perfectly. We just need to get that team chemistry down 100%. Guys, I'm Marlaw. This has been another fun day with the Seattle Surge. If you guys want to see us play again, we are back Saturday, July 17th at 6 p.m. I will not be here for that, but he will be. I hope you guys look forward to that. Remember, run them out.